For quite a time, Lorna and Mario have the same argument, but these last few quarrels of them, she heard no more soothing voice apologizing, the voice that was trying to avert her thoughts from what she believed the agony she's bearing. Mario would snap at her as he was annoyed and irritated to always hear the same things she was complaining.
Shut up.
You shout at me. You do not love me anymore.
Mario, for a while, did not answer his wife. It was the first time he shouted to her, but it was just an impulsive reaction from him. He was so concentrated proofing his article as the deadline to submit it was less than 1 hour. He was a contributing journalist to the local newspaper in their place. Then he said,
Okay, I shouted at you, but you understand that I am busy with my work. I only have less an hour, and I must submit my article. Could you not give me space and time so that I can finish my work as soon as possible?
Lorna said no more words. She walked away and entered their bedroom. Mario shrugged his shoulder, heaved a sigh, and continued what he was doing. It was already evening and time for supper, but Lorna did not come out the room. Mario, who was sitting in the living room, watching news on the TV, just let his wife temperament. He could not stand anymore about Lorna's talking about the past that had happened for more than 20 years ago. Like a broken record, Lorna talked again and again about the accident that happened to their first child. The news was finished, and Mario stood up and put out the TV. He went to the kitchen and looked what he could eat. And the same as usual, he made a sandwich for himself. He knew Lorna would not come out anymore from their room until tomorrow morning. Mario thought that Lorna was already sleeping when he entered their bedroom, but not. Lorna was lying on bed, but her eyes were wide opened as she stared blank on the ceiling. Mario said no words. He prepared himself to sleep. He wore his pajama and went to the comfort room annex to brush his teeth.
You used to be an understanding husband.
Lorna, I want to sleep.
Yes, go sleep soundly because you had nothing in your conscience.
Here we are again. How many times I told you to forget everything? What occupying your mind now did happen a long time ago. Our 2 sons are now grown up and having their own life.
I never could forget what happened to our firstborn. Never.
Sometimes I am thinking that you are becoming crazy.
Me? I am becoming crazy.
What Mario said to Lorna made Lorna jerked out from lying as she abruptly sat on their bed. She was very angry.
If you kept talking the same thing over and over again, yes, you are becoming crazy. I could not understand why you are doing these. We have a good life. Everything in our family is okay, but you are digging the past that happened. How many times I told you, you must not blame yourself because you did nothing wrong.
I knew that I did nothing wrong, but I want to know what really happened to my baby. I want to ask them, my parents, what really did happen that day.
Your parents are very old already. Why you just can't let them enjoy freely the days that they still have? Realized what would be the consequences to them only by asking the question you had in your mind.
Since it happened that our first child died from falling out the balcony, I already had in my mind the question why it happened.
You did not ask them before. Why waited more than 20 years to ask them? Why?
Lorna did not answer Mario. Indeed, why she waited long to know everything what happened to her firstborn that was only few months old. The baby fell down from the balcony and died. Before, she took and believed all that her parents told her. Her parents said it was an accident, so it was an accident. But now she doubted. How did the accident happen? She wanted to know. Mario was right, why now? Her 2 sons, although were not married, yet lived on their own. Behavior of her 2 sons prompted her that she must ask her parents the question that she just kept by herself for a long time. Her 2 sons were straightforward. They dared to ask questions. Although times now were different, before, children dared not to contradict their parents. Lorna thought if her sons could do it, why she could not. She really wanted to know how the accident happened and why it happened. About the child of Lorna that died more than 20 years ago. It was in the late 60s. She was 14 years old then. Her husband Mario was the boy next door. They were of the same age. Nice music, dances, time of a new revolution when people were beginning to forget the trauma of the World War II. Lorna fall in love with Mario. They were always together, but her parents were against Mario. They did not like Mario to be her husband. Mario, according to her parents, was no good, a man with no ambition in life. Also, they were both very young. Mario and her generation were still the generation that followed the tradition of just be obedient to the parents. If the parents said it was so, a child must obey without asking. The parents of Lorna just kept hammering about their disliking of Mario, but Lorna just kept quiet. She said no words, but secretly seeing Mario. Lorna thought no one could dictate someone who the person he or she would love. And she loved Mario. No one could stop her, even her parents. The constant secret meetings were heavens for Lorna. She enjoyed it being with Mario. Their generation was a time that when a man touched a woman, he must marry her. The first time that Mario held and kissed her hands, she did not protest because she liked it. She felt like there's a current from Mario creeping toward her that made her body warm. The kisses of Mario just did not stop in her hands. Mario randomly kissed her arms and gradually into her neck to her lips that she just closed her eyes. Lorna's first lovemaking with Mario. More secret meetings, more love-makings until one day, Lorna told Mario a not pleasant news.
What is that not pleasant news you're talking about?
Mario, I am pregnant.
Why do you say it is not pleasant? For me, it is pleasant. We would have our baby.
Mario was very excited and happy upon learning that Lorna was pregnant. He hugged her tight, but Lorna was worried.
You do not understand. What would my parents do if they learned I am pregnant?
We get married. I see no problem.
But my parents do not like you, and we are both still studying.
You are already pregnant. They could not refuse.
Mario believed that because Lorna was already pregnant, her parents would not oppose anymore. But they were wrong. Luis, the father of Lorna, was furious. Mario with his parents were at the house of Lorna's family to ask formally Lorna's hand.
You shamed our family.
Mario is willing to marry me.
He will marry you? And how will he feed you when even their family could barely eat?
We would survive.
We would survive with your lazy bones? You are like your lazy father that could not feed his family.
We were here to ask with respect the hands of Lorna. She was pregnant, and my son will gladly stand his responsibility to give honor to your daughter. You could insult our family because we are poor, but we are not running away from responsibilities.
My daughter is a minor. If I said she will not marry your son, she will not be married with him.
I am already pregnant. Mario and I must be married.
You will not marry him. You will have an abortion.
No. No. I will not have an abortion.
If I said you will have an abortion, you would have an abortion. And don't shout at me.
Luis slapped Lorna more that his wife Antonia stopped him by putting herself in between her husband and her daughter. Lorna shouted in pains. Mario could do nothing as his parents left and his mother almost dragging him away. Mario was crying. He pitied Lorna, but he could do nothing. For days, Mario was always looking next door, hoping to see Lorna, but Lorna never come out their house. His father prohibited her. Lorna was crying every day, begged her mother to help her. But Antonia doesn't know what to do to help her daughter.
Mama, please help me to run away. Mario and I will elope. We will go to a very far place. Help me, Mama, please. I could not stand this anymore. I don't want to lose my baby. Help me or I will die.
Your father is a policeman. If you ran away and if he found you and Mario, you both will be killed.
Mama, please, help me.
Here, my savings. Use the money properly. And please, you and Mario, go to a far place away from your father.
The begging of Lorna melted the heart of Antonia, and she decided to help her daughter. Before her father would be home, Lorna hurriedly with a small bag went to Mario, but she was shocked. The family of Mario told her that Mario for more than a week was gone, and they do not know where he was. Mario disappeared, and Lorna was rattled. She doesn't know what to do. She could not return home to her parents. Her father wanted an abortion, and there's already an appointment made. In her young age, she was determined, no abortion, never. She went to the house of a friend. Her friend Lucy and Lucy's parents helped her, and to avoid confrontation with her father, the parents of Lucy decided to bring her to a relative in another town. Lorna tried her best to accept the reality that Mario was gone and that she would be a single mother, a shame. Lorna also understood her father. The honor of the family was damaged just because of love, her love to Mario. Mario was more than willing to marry her, only the pride of a father and the prejudice, looking down the family of Mario because they were poor. Lorna and her mother Antonia have contacts with each other through Lucy. Antonia financially supported her daughter behind the back of her husband Luis until Lorna gave birth to a baby girl. Lorna's baby was already 2 months old. Antonia thought that Luis knew nothing about her and Lorna's secret, but then one day from the market Antonia came home and she saw Luis was waiting for her in the balcony of their house. Antonia looked at Luis and she saw there's something that bothered her husband.
Will you put down your groceries? I want to talk with you.
I will bring these first to the kitchen.
Later. I want first to talk with you.
Well, we have to talk.
Why are you doing things behind my back? Why are you doing things behind my back?
Then she heard a baby cry inside their house. She looked at Luis.
She's home with her baby.
Antonia hurried inside the house. Inside, she saw Lorna with her baby. Antonia don't know what to think, but she could not hide that she was happy.
Mama, Papa went to where I lived, and he brought me home.
I did not like you both doing things behind my back, but I forgive you both.
Antonia hardly could believe what she heard from Luis. She suddenly hugged her husband. Lorna was also happy. Her father took her back home and had loved her baby. From his work, Luis would always play with the baby. The parents of Lorna wanted that she go back to school, and she did. Gossips. Disapproval looked. Called a disgraced woman. It did not bother Lorna at all. Although her mind was always to Mario, whom no one knew where and what happened to him. Lorna focused to her study and to her child. Her father had a different outlook in life, but did love her and also accepted and loved her child. Lorna thought everything was just all right, yet she still wished that Mario would come back to her life. But one day, 2 policemen came to the school. The reason was that there's something happened to her child. An accident. Lorna could not understand when the policeman told her that she must go home for something terrible had happened. The police took her not home, but to the hospital. Her parents were in the hospital. Her mother was crying, and her father looked haggard and had fear in his face.
Mama, what happened? The policeman said the baby had an accident.
We are sorry, Lorna, but your baby had an accident. He's no more, he's gone.
Lorna looked both her parents. She could not believe what her mother told her. Her baby was no more. Lorna screamed. It could not be true. Her baby could not die.
According to her parents, it was an accident. The baby of Lorna died. Lorna could not accept it. She would not believe that her baby, her link to Mario, was no more. There's no solid connection with Mario anymore. What left over were just sweet, bitter, sorrowful memories. A nervous breakdown, depression, Lorna's lust of life disappeared. She did not finish her study, became apathetic, and just always stared blank wherever she looked. Her parents did their best to help her. Love and understanding were just what she needed. 5 years long, the agony of Luis and Antonia about the situation of Lorna suddenly was over. Mario was back and straightly gone to see Lorna on the same day that he arrived home. The family of Luis told him about what happened when he was gone, and Luis, full of guilt, rushed to the woman he truly loved.
Forgive me, Lorna, forgive me.
Mario was kneeling and asking forgiveness from Laura. Mario was in tears. At first, Lorna could not believe that the man kneeling was Mario.
Mario?
I'm back, and we will get married.
But it's too late. Our baby died. Is no more. Is gone.
We are still young. We could still make many beautiful babies. Lorna, if your parents would agree, will you please marry me?
Lorna looked to her parents who was present and witnessed everything. Antonia, with tears in her eyes, looked at her husband. Luis, who had verged of tears in his eyes too, said,
Mario, I don't know how could I say this, but I regretted what I had done. Please, forgive me if I looked you and your family down. Lorna, forgive me too for what I had done to you. I made a mistake.
Condescending, Luis asked forgiveness from both Mario and Lorna. Antonia pitied her husband as Luis swallowed his pride, but her admiration to him became stronger. She reached to the hand of Luis and squeezed it, her gesture of understanding and of supporting him. Luis could be sometimes strict, but Antonia knew that her husband loves their daughter very much. 5 years that Mario was gone, he had struggled to study and at the same time worked with a promise to himself that he will come back to Lorna successful, that the parents of Lorna will not look down him anymore. He succeeded. Studying the HRM course at the same time working in the restaurant gave him an idea to open a restaurant by himself. Before his coming back to Lorna, he had his restaurant for 6 months already, and the business formula was a success. The bank that financed his business endeavors was surprised when he fully paid his loan. The bank advised him about franchising, and that was his plan, but first he must come back home and marry Lorna before it's too late, and Lorna would marry someone else. Mario and Lorna got married. They were both happy. Lorna miraculously was cured from her depression. 2 sons were granted to them. Franchising of Mario's restaurant business was a huge success. Luis and Antonia were glad to their daughter's happiness. What happened to the little baby girl, Lorna's firstborn, was forgotten until the last months that Lorna just keeps hammering to Mario about it. Mario had no time to entertain his wife's quest for the truth about the accidents that take their daughter away. It was more than 20 years ago. He was a busy man. Besides his restaurant business, he also was a paid writer-contributor in the local newspaper. His articles were about the culinary arts that appreciated by many readers. Lorna understood that Mario was not interested to what she wanted to know, decided to do it with or without the consent of her husband. She will ask her parents what really happened to the accident that took the life of their daughter. One day, Mario came home, and there's nobody but only their helper Amalia.
You don't know where she went.
She said to me that if you ask, I have to tell you that she go to her parents' house and will stay there for a few days.
Mario was troubled. He knew why Lorna went to her parents, and he doesn't like it. Now he realized that the flashback of Lorna from what happened a long time ago would bring many nasty things to both Lorna and her parents. Lorna was trying to wake up the pains that was long forgotten. Mario lost no time. He must stop Lorna. The parents of Lorna were living in a remote place about 100 kilometers away, the place Luis inherited from his parents, and there they chose to live quietly after Luis retired from his work as a policeman. Lorna, who let herself brought by a taxi in where her parents lived, had already confronted her parents. Luis and Antonia, who was first surprised and glad upon seeing their daughter, was shocked. They did not expect the question of Lorna to them.
It happened a long time ago.
I know, Mama, but I wanted to know it now. I wanted to know about that accident that killed my baby.
Lorna insisting to know about the accident that happened for more than 20 years ago already made Luis and Antonia uneasy. The couple looked at each other.
I could not sleep. I just kept thinking about it. Luis did not like the idea, me asking about it, but for my peace of mind, Please, Mama, Papa tells me the truth about what really happened.
You knew already. It was an accident.
Yes, Mama, it was an accident, but what I wanted to know why and how did the accident happen?
I was in the balcony, the baby just kept crying. I was so concentrated in soothing her because I don't know why she was crying. She was not sick, she had no fever. Then I heard your father calling my name. I forgot the time and I had not cooked a dinner, so while carrying your baby in my one arm I reached for her bottle when she suddenly jerked out and I knew it, the poor baby was falling down. I am sorry it happened, it's my fault.
You heard your mother. Now that you know it, are you satisfied?
Suddenly Luis stopped talking. He saw Antonia holding her chest and liked in pain. Antonia was having a stroke or worse, a heart attack. Luis wasn't panicked. He held Antonia so that she would not fall down. Antonia was brought to the hospital. The doctors did their best to save Antonia's life, but nothing helped. Antonia passed away. The death of Antonia shocked the family. Luis spoke no words before and even after Antonia's burial. Lorna realized she had something to do with her mother's untimely death, and she blamed herself, also for the sorrow she had given to her father.
Why keep blaming yourself?
Mario, whom by himself knew that Lorna indeed was to be blamed to what happened to Antonia, but he kept his thought to himself. Lorna was not a perfect person, and Mario knew that his wife loved him, and that he loved her too that much. He accepted all the imperfections of Lorna. He always tried to understand her, although sometimes he also loses his temper.
And why not? Mama died because of me. Now, Papa will not talk to me, nor even look at me. You're right, why I did not let the past rest. Why I have to bring it up.
Try to forget everything. Nothing will happen if you just keep blaming yourself. Your father will come to his senses.
The hope that Mario tried to give to Lorna did not come. One day, Jerry, the cousin of Lorna who lived with Luis when Antonia passed away, had a very disturbing call.
I wake up this morning and I could not find Uncle Luis. He's gone and I don't know where. I just called you now because I am looking for him everywhere, but I really could not find him.
It was already dark. Lorna and Mario were worried about Luis, and Lorna just kept crying, blaming herself. They were both in the police station waiting for news about Luis. The village officials searched Luis with some volunteers, and they were afraid that something had happened to Luis because the place was a rural area with rivers, creeks, thick bushes, and ravines. The whole night Lorna and Mario stayed at the Barangay post waiting for any news about Luis. That night it rains so heavy that there's a fear something terrible happened to Luis, and that there's a possibility Luis would not survive the extreme weather. But Luis did survive. Lorna and Mario wake up from the slight commotion of the village officers and of some volunteers. Luis was found, and in bad condition that he must be quickly brought to the hospital. The body of Luis just kept trembling, and that he doesn't talk. In the hospital, the doctor let no visitors for 2 days to give Luis the recovery he needed. Lorna was at the bedside of her father when Luis opened his eyes. Luis didn't recognize his daughter.
Where I am? Who are you?
Papa, I am Lorna, your daughter.
You are not Lorna. You are not my daughter.
Papa.
My daughter Lorna has an angelic face, but you? I am sorry, you are an imposter. You are not Lorna. There's something in your face, like a demon is hiding behind it.
A demon was hiding behind her face. The words of her father were like a dagger stabbed into her heart. Lorna felt guilty. After that confrontation, Lorna could not come near to her father as Luis would drove her away. It hurts, and Mario patiently comforted his wife the best he could.
You must accept the truth. The doctor said your father had dementia, a mind sickness.
It's my fault, the death of Mama and now, of what happened to Papa.
Lorna, why could you not just let bygones be bygones? Things happened for a reason. It is harsh for me to say this, but your father having the dementia could be a blessing to both of you.
A blessing? How could it be a blessing?
For him to not remember all the things that hurts him, and for you, you would not feel the hatred.
I will not feel the hatred? How could you say that? Because my father could not recognize me anymore as his daughter? Because my father could not or forgotten what his daughter did, that caused the death of his wife, my mother? Maybe the sickness could erase many things in his life, but what about me? I don't have the sickness my father had.
Lorna, what I am trying to say.
I know, you're just trying to soothe the pains and guilts I have, but I will tell you what I am thinking. My father is a living dead. I now know what kind of a person I am. I never forget things and never forgive. I am blaming my parents for many things, opposing our love, the death of our daughter. I kept it in myself, the doubt. I suspected my father because he wanted once to kill my baby by abortion. My father is right. There's a devil hiding behind my face.
Look at it on this way. You thought your parents did wrong things to you, but you also must consider their side, what they think when they did all such things. They did it because they loved you and were only concerned about your welfare. They loved you as their only daughter and they wanted nothing but only good life for you. About the death of your mother, she already had heart ailment, and the death of our daughter was purely an accident. You said your father is a living dead. You are still alive. Make him live by taking care and loving him. We will do it together.
Lorna hugged Mario, and she cried on his chest. She knew she was lucky to have Mario as her husband. She thought, why did she's blaming her parents? Her parents were opposed at first about her relationship with Mario, but then she still ended married to him. Her daughter, her firstborn, died, but then in return, she had 2 sons that gloried her days when they were children even now that they were grown up. Why did the doubts dormant remain to give her again regrets and guilts? Too late to know. She's picking up a burden in life to carry on.